What's up guys, my name is Angelo. My wife and I have been investing into stocks in the form of low-cost ETFs since 2017, so for about 5.5 years now. They are the main pillar of our long-term investment strategy, making up about 60% of our total investment portfolio. As for the rest, 15% is in peer-to-peer lending for some extra cash flow and diversification, 10% is in highly speculative assets like crypto, and the rest we currently hold in cash as we're awaiting our first child in a few months. As of August 9th, 2022, our ETF shares are worth 165,000 euros. We're currently up about 25% or 33,700 euros on our investments, including paid out dividends. Now that you have some background info about me, I'm making this video to talk about what I believe to be the best ETFs currently available for European investors. First, we'll talk about the best options if you want to invest into the entire world, including emerging markets. Second, the best ETFs covering just developed or emerging markets. Third, the best ones covering just US stocks if you're super bullish on the US economy. Fourth, the best ETFs if you want to add more European stocks to your portfolio. Fifth, the best small cap stock ETFs, as small cap stocks are usually not covered by the most common broad ETFs. And lastly, the best high dividend yield ETFs if receiving regular cash flow from investments is important to you. Before I get into it, don't forget to smash the like button if you appreciate the effort that went into creating this video. And if you'd like to support me, feel free to use my links in the description below to the best low-cost brokers in Europe, including some local options for Austrian or German investors, since I myself am based in Austria. At the end of the day, you don't want to waste money on unnecessary fees, especially over the long run. That way you have more money left over to invest instead. And as always, please remember that none of this is investment advice, just my own opinion based on my personal experience as an investor. So let's begin with what I believe to be the best global ETFs. So ETFs covering not only developed markets, but also emerging markets like China or India, for example. Since these are market cap weighted, stocks from emerging markets currently make up about 10% of the index, just to give you an idea. There are two indexes that accomplish this goal very well: the FTSE All-World Index and the MSCI All-Country World Index. Both of these are extremely close to each other in their performance, but the FTSE All-World Index contains about 40% more stocks at 4,129 companies versus 2,897 companies in the MSCI All-Country World Index. The Vanguard FTSE All-World is also my personal favorite. It's the only one we've been buying on a regular basis. It enables us to invest into the 3,700 most successful publicly listed companies from all over the world, all within a single low-cost ETF. We started with the distributing version in April 2018 and switched to the accumulating version at the start of 2021 to simplify our investment strategy even more and optimize our taxes a bit. This way, dividends are automatically reinvested into more shares of the stocks within the index by the ETF itself. That being said, here are the best global ETFs in my opinion, including their ISIN numbers and ticker symbols. I included all of this info down below in the description. If you like for dividends to be paid out to you instead of having them automatically reinvested into more stocks within the ETF, the Vanguard FTSE All-World is your only option here. There is no distributing version covering the MSCI All-Country World Index. And for an accumulating ETF, I would pick the Vanguard FTSE All-World Accumulating or the accumulating MSCI All-Country World Index from iShares or Spider. By the way, the ticker symbol can differ depending on the exchange you're buying the ETF on, so make sure you double check that on Just ETF if you can't find it right away on Interactive Brokers, for example. Alright, let's move on to developed markets. Here, in my view, we have two relevant indexes: the FTSE Developed World and the very popular MSCI World, which, even though it's called World, actually only includes developed markets as well. Still, I think either of these can still be viable one ETF investment options as long as you're aware that you're excluding emerging markets from your portfolio. Both of these are very similar in their performance since most of the stocks and markets they cover are the same. There are just a few differences, like FTSE categorizing South Korea and Poland as developed markets, while MSCI still counts these two as emerging markets and thus excluded them from the MSCI World. Okay, let's have a look for the best ETFs tracking those two indexes, starting with the distributing MSCI World. Based on their performance over the longest comparable time frame, I would pick these two: the HSBC MSCI World and the Xtrackers MSCI World. And these would be my picks for the accumulating version of the MSCI World: the Spider MSCI World and the iShares Core MSCI World. Meanwhile, for the FTSE Developed World Index, the choice is a lot easier, with Vanguard being the only provider in Europe for both the distributing and the accumulating version. Now, if you want to add some exposure to emerging markets, or you want to increase the percentage in your portfolio, once again, we have two options for indexes by FTSE and MSCI. Just keep in mind the differences that I mentioned in the developed markets section. So it's probably better not to mix a FTSE Developed ETF with an MSCI Emerging Markets ETF. and vice versa, otherwise you might have some overlap. For the MSCI emerging markets, in my opinion, there's one ETF that stands above the rest, and that's the iShares Core MSCI Emerging Markets IMI in the distributing version or the accumulating version. What sets these ETFs apart is that they actually cover the larger MSCI Emerging Markets Investable Market Index, which not only includes large and mid cap, like normal MSCI emerging markets, but also small cap stocks. And since the IMI version outperformed its counterpart historically, this one would be my preferred choice. Meanwhile, I think the Vanguard FTSE emerging markets, either in its distributing or accumulating version, is a great alternative. Okay, what if you're really bullish about the stock market in the US specifically and you think stocks from the United States will keep outperforming in the future? First of all, you should know that US stocks already make up about 58 to 60% of the FTSE All World or All Country World Index, and about 66 to 70% currently of the MSCI World or FTSE Developed World Index. So most likely you already have a good exposure to them if you're investing globally. That being said, here's the index I would pick if you want to either only invest in the US or you want to increase your exposure to US stocks. I'm of course talking about the S&P 500, which is made up of the 500 most successful publicly traded companies in the US. Here I would pick the Vanguard S&P 500 or the HSBC S&P 500 ETFs for the distributing version, and the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF if you prefer the accumulating version. By the way, if you're looking for the best low-cost brokers in Europe and you'd like to support me by using my links, make sure you check out Interactive Brokers or DeGiro, both of which I linked down below in the description. Moving on, let's say you think you should increase your share of European stocks in your portfolio, since their share by market cap in global indexes has shrunk a lot over the past decade, and you think Europe is ripe for a comeback. To achieve this goal, I would pick the Stoxx Europe 600 index. In this case, the distributing version from iShares. And for the best accumulating options, I would pick the Luxor Core Stoxx Europe 600 or the Xtrackers Stoxx Europe 600 ETFs. A great alternative to increasing diversification in your portfolio while still upping the percentage of European stocks could be to add the accumulating Xtrackers MSCI Europe Small Cap ETF to your portfolio. This one only covers small cap stocks in Europe, which you have no exposure to if you're simply investing via a global ETF, which only covers large and medium cap companies. Not only that, this index outperformed European indexes tracking large and mid-cap companies historically. Now, if you want to invest into small cap stocks from all developed markets, not just Europe, then I would pick the MSCI World Small Cap Index. My preferred pick in this case would be the accumulating iShares MSCI World Small Cap ETF. And lastly, if you only want to invest into stocks that pay out dividends to their shareholders on a regular basis, as you value regular cash flow above all else, then in my opinion there's one choice that stands above the rest. The Fidelity Global Quality Income. As you can see here, it even outperformed the normal Vanguard FTSE All World ETFs lately, while far outperforming other popular options like the FTSE All World High Dividend Yield ETF. At the end of the day, you need to keep in mind that the total performance of your ETF investments is what matters the most, not just what they pay out in dividends every year. And there you have it. Those are what I believe to be the best currently available ETFs to us European investors. Before you take off, don't forget to smash the like button if you enjoyed the video and to subscribe to see more. Also, if you'd like to support me, feel free to use my links down below to what I believe to be the best brokers in Europe. Not only that, I have 2 other videos that might be useful to you if you're new to ETF investing. ETF investing for Europeans with a detailed guide on how the actual process of buying ETFs works on each broker, and everything you need to know about the differences between distributing and accumulating ETFs. Thank you guys so much for watching, have a wonderful day, and until next time.